Hello, good evening. This is UTV Live.
Tonight at 6, a cold-blooded murderer. A man who killed his sister in her Portadown home before lighting a fire outside his niece's bedroom will spend at least 24 years behind bars.
Also ahead, text messages sent by Dono to a friend reveal he was up and down and thinking about life in the days before he went missing.
And a DUP minister remains defiant in the face of a critical Standards Commissioner's report.
I will point out the errors that I see within the report. I will defend the actions that I have taken.
Plus the rest of the day's news, sport.
And we have some very disruptive weather on the way tomorrow with the arrival of Storm Chandra. I'll have all of the details later with the forecast.
The bond between brother and sister should be unbreakable. But for one family, it was shattered on a night of unimaginable horror, which ended in a brutal killing. Cornelius Brackus is now behind bars for at least 24 years for a murder which was linked to domestic violence, which the judge branded a scourge on society.
Brackus was on bail at the time of the attack on his older sister Alicia. Our crime and security correspondent Sharon O'Neill reports.
The first picture of a murderer. Cornelius Brackus stabbed his own sister up to 20 times, then set her alight. Alicia Nazarova suffered 60% burns, one knife wound to the neck, fatal. Hopes of getting married to the man she loved so cruelly extinguished. As the 37-year-old lay dying, her crazed brother tried to burn her house down here in Portadown. His 12-year-old niece, also inside, survived, but is traumatised by what took place here almost 3 years ago. Today, Brackus was sentenced not only for murder, but arson with intent to endanger a child. Brackus kept his head bowed throughout this hearing, showing no signs of visible emotion. The court heard that despite his late pleas, he expressed no genuine or real emotion. Told to stand up, the judge then said, "You are one of the most brutal and cold-blooded murderers I've dealt with," and ordered him to serve at least 24 years in jail before being considered for release. So why did Brackus murder his sister? He claimed Alicia didn't appreciate him, treated him like garbage. Comments the judge branded misogynistic. The 27-year-old has a history of domestic violence within the family against his mother and brother, and was on bail at the time he killed his sister, who had simply been trying to help him. No one from Alicia's family was in court, but they released this statement. "Our hearts remain broken and our family will never be the same again. While there's no magical solution to lessen our pain, we're grateful for and have taken genuine comfort from the kind words and actions of others. My message to those who are listening or reading this is simple but heartfelt. Please spread love, not hate." Brackus was filled with hate when he savagely took his sister's life. Now he's paying the price. Sharon O'Neill, UTV Live.
We have another named storm heading our way. There's an amber warning for strong winds. Heavy rain has already arrived and possible flooding and disruption on the roads is expected.
The Education Authority has contacted schools asking them to monitor and assess the situation and make decisions locally. We know that a few have already put on their socials that they will close.
Meanwhile, several regional colleges have said that they will close as well. Well, Louise joins us now. So what can we expect?
Storm Chandra was named early on by the Met Office this morning. We can expect, as you said, disruptive winds with that amber warning across eastern areas. Already today we've had heavy downpours of rain, quite a lot of rainfall over the next couple of days as well. We have a yellow rain warning in place until midnight tonight. Following on from that, we have a wind and rain warning for all areas from midnight for 24 hours, 40 to 50 miles per hour winds inland. And with that rain, we could see some flooding in places. Now, the amber warning follows on from that as well. 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, the winds will really start to ramp up across the east coast. We could see up to 75 miles per hour, which in turn then could lead to some disruption. The advice is to stay away from eastern coastal areas where large waves and there's a chance of some flying debris. Now, Belfast City Council says a number of parks, pitches, playgrounds will be closed tomorrow. NI Water says Silent Valley Mountain Park will also be closed. And as you mentioned earlier, Paul, there, for school updates, it is best to stay up to date on their school social media channels.
And if you're travelling, check with your carrier.
Absolutely.
Louise, thank you. A court has been shown messages sent by Noah Dono to his friends, stating that he'd been feeling up and down and thinking about life in the days before he went missing.
It's a short piece of the lengthy evidence given by his best friend Jay Tierney at the inquest into the teenager's death. Stuart Robson spent the day in court.
I was his best friend. The simple words of Noah Donohoe's closest companion, Jay Tierney, seen here in the orange jumper. A small part of the evidence given by the person who spent the day with Noah hours before he went missing. Jay met Noah at St Malachy's College in North Belfast, describing him as one in a million. An eccentric person, he told the court, but not in a bad way, who was always 14 steps ahead. Talking about how strong their friendship was, Jay said, "I would talk to Noah about anything." And talk they did, with the court showing various excerpts from lengthy chats on social media and reflections from a walk they did together the day before Noah went missing. 2 days before Noah's disappearance, the late teenager messaged Jay saying, "Dude, I'm really sorry I've been really up and down the last few days. I've just been thinking about life in general, and sorry I've been cold with you." Jay responded saying he hadn't been cold at all. Noah replied again saying, "Love you, dude." Jay said, "Love you too, man." Noah had also opened up about being in denial and being honest with himself without going into detail. Mr. Tierney told the inquest they often opened up emotionally to one another and deemed the conversation to be positive. The following day, they met up and walked across different parts of Belfast. On that walk, Mr. Tierney told the court that they discussed different topics, including a book Noah was reading at the time called The 12 Rules of Life. It's a self-help book by Canadian psychologist Jordan B. Peterson. Mr. Tierney said that Noah didn't tell him the name of the book because, in Noah's words, he didn't need it. His friend agreed with counsel that Noah was preoccupied with the book at the time. The following day in the early hours, Noah was captured on CCTV leaving his home. It was the same day that the friends had planned to walk up Cave Hill with another friend called Charlie. The court was shown messages sent to Noah later in the afternoon from Mr. Tierney, stating that due to bad weather, they were cancelling. However, Mr. Tierney told the court no one never read the messages. Closing today's hearing were staff from St Malachy's College. Deirdre McCusker, who was the vice principal of the school at the time and who is now the principal, told the court that she was contacted by Noah's mother, Fiona, days before he went missing. She had requested pastoral support for Noah, stating that his mood wasn't as positive as usual. Several days after, she was told that the teenager had gone missing. Mrs. McCusker reflected on Noah being a top academic achiever who was popular among other students. The inquest continues. Stuart Robson, UTV Live.
The Communities Minister, Gordon Lyons, has been accused by Sinn Féin of using Donald Trump's playbook in continuing to completely reject findings that he breached the ministerial code.
On Friday, Stormont's Commissioner for Standards said that a post by Minister Lyons on Facebook during race riots last summer may have contributed to further unrest and that he failed to demonstrate leadership. The Minister says that the report is not based on fact, while other parties continue to criticise his stance. Here's our political correspondent, Vicky Hawthorne.
A deliberate DUP show of strength in support of under fire Communities Minister Gordon Lyons. There have been calls for the minister to resign in the wake of an independent report which says he breached the ministerial code. As the SDLP lined up to criticise him, on any other day a stroll through the Great Hall would be perfectly routine. Today it was a moment of DUP defiance. Inside the chamber, Minister Lyons firmly rejected the report findings.
I believe that they're based on statements that are incorrect, and I believe that the Commissioner has introduced a new standard for leadership, which includes what she considers to be an appropriate demonstration of emotion and a refusal to criticise public bodies.
Last June, Larne Leisure Centre was attacked when it emerged families fleeing their homes during race riots were brought there for safety. Hours before the attack, Minister Lyons posted on Facebook that he had not been consulted about the use of the centre and that people had now been moved from there. He also called for people to remain peaceful. The Commissioner for Standards has said Mr Lyons' post may have heightened tensions and led to further unrest, that he did not demonstrate empathy with those affected and that he failed to demonstrate leadership. The Minister's refusal to accept the findings was challenged repeatedly in the Assembly.
So, Minister, your response here and earlier in the media is straight out of the Trump playbook. Denial of the facts, ignoring reality and showing utter contempt for the Commissioner and the mechanisms put in place to hold ministers to account. Do you accept, Minister, you are demonstrating absolute contempt for the public?
Minister. Unfortunately, we had a Commissioner in place that looked at the evidence but seemed to ignore that whenever it came to her analysis and her viewpoint and her opinion, because that is all that it is, her opinion.
Does the Minister believe that the Ministerial Code has any meaning whatsoever if ministers can reject the findings of a breach not once but twice and face no consequences? The public cannot hold you to account, this Assembly cannot hold you to account. Is that correct?
You know what? The public do hold me to account, because the public have returned me to this place 3 times.
It's not your first rodeo. You breached the Ministerial Code by blocking the operation of the North-South Ministerial Council. Minister, many people feel that you have proven yourself repeatedly unfit for office.
The Minister did receive support from other unionists.
Does he find it surprising that the Commissioner based her conclusions about your lack of empathy and compassion on the information she cited, yet despite citing our office, never contacted our office, our staff, or indeed any of those who have subsequently you have reached out to?
Gordon Lyons is due to appear before the Communities Committee later this week. It may then be clearer if he will face a vote of no confidence. Vicky Hawthorne, UTV Live, Stormont.
Our political editor Tracy McGee joins us now live from Stormont. So another spiky debate at Stormont, but does it change anything?
Absolutely nothing, Paul. That's because it is virtually impossible to remove a Stormont minister from their post. They are probably among the most protected species. That's because today, when Gavin Robinson stood here for his now weekly press conference and asked whether or not he was going to support Gordon Lyons, he said, yes, I am standing by my man. And that meant the whole thing is a done deal. That's because even if this whole matter gets pushed to a no confidence vote, and that's not clear at this point, when that vote happens, it will be a cross-community vote, and the DUP will vote it down. That will act essentially as a veto. Now, I don't know how much longer this whole process will go on for. It could be weeks, but I can tell you there'll be a lot of noise, but at the end of it all, the minister will not be sanctioned, and there'll be a whole lot of bad feeling among the parties.
Now, in other news, there was confirmation from the incoming Ulster Unionist leader John Burrows that Mike Nesbitt is to remain as Health Minister.
Yeah, John Burrows confirming what was pretty obvious from that interview he did with me last week, that Mike Nesbitt stays on as Health Minister, he says, until the end of the mandate. He also says that Diana Armstrong will replace Robbie Butler as Chief Whip. Of course, Robbie Butler being the man who we thought may have challenged John Burrows. We don't know what role Robbie Butler or any of the other MLAs will have. We'll probably find that out on Saturday when John Burrows is ratified as Ulster Unionist leader.
Tracy, thank you.
School leaders from across the education sector have described Stormont's draft 3-year budget as completely unrealistic.
In a joint statement, several organisations representing principals and governors have stated that financial pressures could see shorter school days and larger class sizes. Paul Riley reports.
A careers class at St Ronan's College this morning, but for those leading the teaching profession, the job is getting harder with financial pressures growing. Now speaking with one voice, several associations representing heads and governors say Stormont's proposed budget will only make things worse.
Obviously, we'll always look for cost savings in our work and in areas that we could trim back if there's surplus. However, we're talking about core core provision right now, and we're just very concerned that we're not even going to be able to meet our core provision based on the 3-year plan.
Over 70% of schools are already running at a deficit, not to mention the projected departmental overspend of £250 million. The Education Minister has previously warned the draft budget will see devastating cuts. There's no executive agreement on those proposals, and Paul Given says he plans to meet the Finance Minister this week.
He decided to put that out to public consultation, and I think he's getting the reaction which I anticipated, particularly from our school leaders as they realise the devastating consequences that it would have for our school system.
Staffing is the biggest expenditure for schools. While no one wants to see redundancies, head teachers have suggested further cuts could see larger class sizes, shorter days and reduced subject choices.
I don't want to be a school that is suggesting that we send young people home because it saves us money. I want to maintain what we're doing. I think we do a good job. I think our parents are happy, our young people are thriving and they're successful. I genuinely don't know where we can go from here. I tend to be a solution-focused leader, and I always look for solutions, and at the minute, like every other school leader, the solution needs to come from beyond us. It is a systematic problem that we really need to have help with, and that's why the joint letter is urging the executive to relook at the situation.
School leaders are now calling on the public to make their views known on the draft budget through the consultation process. Paul Riley, UTV Live.
Well, in a statement, the Department of Finance told UTV that the draft budget proposals have been developed against the backdrop of an exceptionally constrained financial position and therefore do not provide the level of funding the Finance Minister would wish to see directed at our public services.
One person has been rescued after a vehicle went into a river outside Drumore in County Tyrone. The driver was helped out after the incident on the Drumlish Road at around 3:20 this afternoon.
The trial of a man accused of murdering Natalie McNally will now go ahead, despite the ongoing barristers' strike. The Criminal Barristers Association has confirmed that the trial of Stephen McCullough will be exempt from the strike. The 35-year-old from Woodland Gardens, Lisburn, denies murder. Well, still to come on the programme, Olympic gold medalist Rhys McClenaghan says his best could still be to come as he picks up the freedom of his borough.
And it's a big deal for Derry as James McClean makes a triumphant return to the Brandywell. Plus more on that amber weather warning.
Well, it's time now to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
And here's Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the programme, an inquest finds heading of football is likely to have contributed to the brain disease of Gordon McClean, which was a factor in the footballer's death. The country prepares for severe wind and rain as Storm Chandra approaches. And the quest to identify the mystery faces found on the film in a 90-year-old camera in a charity shop in Salisbury. Well, do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
But first, it's time for sport.
Here's Ruth Gorman.
What a signing! John Mulholland Motors, sponsors of UTV Sport.
Good evening. Back at the Brandywell, the McClean brothers have both returned to their home club, Derry City. For James, he left almost 15 years ago, and for Patrick, it's his third spell at the club. They're hoping for some special family moments in the upcoming season by helping the Candy Stripes to silverware. Our Northwest correspondent, Gareth Wilkinson, caught up with them.
Back at the Brandywell, on the pitch where it all began for James McClean.
It's a little bit surreal. Here we are almost 15 years later to be back here again. I'm just really excited now and eager to get going.
This time it's a family affair. Returning alongside James is his brother Patrick. This is the defender's third stint with the club they both grew up supporting.
I'm sure you kicked the ball about together when you were kids. Have you ever played together?
Never. He kicked me about, not the ball. It's special. You've got friends, family coming to watch every week now, and obviously demanding standards from each other on the pitch. It's going to be exciting.
Since he left, James McClean has had a stellar career, often in the full glare of the media spotlight. He's been a Premiership football star, won over 100 caps for the Republic of Ireland and played a captain's role in promotion successes for Wrexham and their film star owners. He's 36 now, back at his hometown club in search of a Hollywood-style ending.
You know, to go almost 30 years without winning the league title, it's not really acceptable for a club of this stature. You know, it's about time now we stop being the nearly men and take that final step.
What's it going to be like? What's the brotherly dynamic going to be like on the pitch, do you think?
Same as normal. We fight like cats and dogs anyway, so I'm sure that's going to continue in the same manner.
In a good way, though.
I understand.
In a good,
yeah. Push each other on.
That's it. You only won. Everybody wants to win.
If I was doing a league title here, we dare or help Derry get into the European group stages for the first time. You know, that really would be the cherry on top.
Bringing the brothers back has helped push excitement levels to fever pitch. Derry take on Shamrock Rovers in the President's Cup at the weekend. Then the league campaign kicks off next week against Sligo Rovers at home.
James McClean has added extra stardust to this squad at the start of the season. It's a dream come true for him and for Derry City fans, but it's a league title that's needed to complete the fairy tale. Gareth Wilkinson, UTV Live at the Brandywell.
Brothers in arms at the Brandywell. Now, Olympic gold medalist Rhys McClenaghan believes his best could still be to come as he returns from a year of injury, which included soldier surgery. I can nearly say that. As he eyes back-to-back gold medals at the LA Olympics in 2028, he believes he can achieve much more in the sport. I caught up with him over the weekend as he received the freedom of his borough.
Right, move it. Good. Happy with that. Perfect. Yeah. Looks good.
Yeah, happy with that?
For sure, yeah.
Is that the first time you've ever spray painted your signature?
It is, yeah.
There's not many firsts Rhys McClenaghan MBE still has left to achieve. He's been crowned Commonwealth, European, World and Olympic champion. And over the weekend he received the freedom of the borough from Ards and North Down Council. Yesterday, 500 people gathered in Ards Leisure Centre for a celebration of their very own and his sport.
Yeah, it's a huge honour. It's been great to see the impact of an Olympic gold medal because you don't quite know what it does until you have it. Of course, the moment of getting an Olympic gold medal it's so special. But then when you come home from Paris, you get to see the amount of people that loved watching it on TV, that have gotten inspired from it.
I'm excited to meet Rhys McClenaghan.
How good is he?
He's really, really good.
Yeah.
Like really, 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 really good. Just because you're from a small area doesn't mean you can't do big things.
2025 was a write-off with injuries, but McClenaghan has reset his goals to become the greatest of all time.
There's been about 6 gymnasts on pommel horse that have won 3 world titles, and nobody's ever reached it to that 4th world title. I've got 2 at the minute, so I just need to do 2 more, and then that'll really solidify me as possibly the greatest of all time on this apparatus, which is a pretty amazing achievement, but I need to get there first.
The new mural on South Street, backed by the business community, shows how proud the locals are of their champion.
He had got his MBE at the New Year's Honours list, he had got his Dancing with the Stars and of course the Olympic medal. So from that point he got the Olympic medal. I've been wanting to do it. The nail on the coffin was, this event. So it's like he's getting the freedom of the borough, so let's get him it. Let's get him his own mural in his town to celebrate.
These are the things that when I was thinking and dreaming about an Olympic gold medal, I didn't really necessarily dream about them, but it's such an honour to have things like this happening. A mural of myself in my hometown in Newton Ards, makes me incredibly proud. Do you want to hold the medal and we can get a photo? Yes, please.
And it was Rhys who was last out of the building last night. A long queue full of fans and possible future champions, and he made time for them all. Such an inspiration. To Gaelic Games, the National League got underway at the weekend. Ulster champions Donegal beat Dublin at Croke Park in Division 1. Shea Malone's goal, the difference in a 120 to 20 points win. Armagh beat Monaghan 127 to 18 points in Clonus. Elsewhere, Tyrone drew with Kildare. Derry were beaten by Meath, and there were also defeats for Fermanagh and Drummond Cavan, while Down beat Clare. The Six Nations launch took place in Scotland today. We'll have more on that in the coming days. But Ulster's Cormac Isachukwu has been added to Andy Farrell's Six Nations squad for their training camp in Portugal. And the fitness of Robert Baloucoune will be assessed over the coming days. Baloucoune came off at half-time as Ulster suffered last-minute heartache in the URC. The Scarlets scored a converted try with the final play of the game to win 27-22. Finally, tomorrow's League Cup semi-final between Linfield and Ballymena has been postponed due to the amber weather warning. That is all your sport. Bye for now.
What a signing! John Mulholland Motors, sponsors of UTV Sport.
Now, we were talking about Storm Chandra earlier.
Now Louise has the full forecast.
After a cold start, temperatures are expected to rise. UTV weather, sponsored by the Grande Rona R290 heat pump.
So we have a very disruptive period of weather on the way over the next 24 to 36 hours. We have a yellow warning for wind and rain in place from midnight. Then we have an additional amber warning for strengthening winds along eastern coastal areas, potentially gusting 65 to 75 miles per hour tomorrow. So do take care if you are travelling. You can see Storm Chandra starting to push up from a southerly direction. Intense downpours pushing through, but that already falling on saturated ground. So there is a potential for some localised flooding tomorrow. Surface water on the roads, so do take care. But the winds will really become a feature, slowly starting to pick up as we move through the early hours. A few showers continuing this evening. We have a brief drier interlude. Then the next band of rain pushes up from the southeast. Some heavy intense downpours there. The wind slowly starting to pick up as we head towards dawn. Temperatures though holding up between 2 and 6 degrees Celsius. It is a very wet and very windy start tomorrow. A few areas of sleet and snow over the tops of the Sperrins tomorrow, but the rain and wind the features. 50 miles per hour inland, 65 to 75 miles per hour along eastern coastal areas. Could lead to some disruption, so do take care. Give yourself some extra time for your journey. Temperatures holding up around 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. Across the rest of Ireland, yellow warnings for wind and rain in place, strengthening winds along coastal areas with some heavy downpours into the afternoon. A few brighter breaks across the southeast. Temperatures though holding up around 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. But the wind and rain will continue for the next day or so before we have some drier interludes on Wednesday. As we move through Thursday and Friday, we're back to wet and windy conditions. Temperatures in around average for this time of year, tailing off into the weekend. Bye-bye.
UTV weather, sponsored by the Grande Rona R290 heat pump.
That's it this Monday evening. Paul will be back with the late bulletin about 10:30.
The ITV News continues with Mary Nightingale, from Rose, from me and the rest of the team on UTV Live. Good evening.
Good evening.